everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We are a weekly podcast in which we all get together after we read all or part of a manga, and we discuss it with Friendship 11, lots and lots of spoilers. This week we are talking The Breaker, New Waves. Much easier to say than manhwa, apparently. Volumes 1 through 4, chapters 1 through 29. I am Erin of Happily Erin, your host, and with me are two of my three lovely co-hosts. Go around and introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dodger. And, well, I always stick to this format, but super excited that we're coming back to Breaker, that this is like the next manhwa, after the original Breaker. Mm-hmm. That's exciting. I think that this is the first time we've done this, right? That we've like finished all of a manga or a manhwa and been able to move on to its next form.
I think so, because most of the other ones that we've finished don't have sequels. They're just done.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, shit.
It's the first time.
It's changing the game.
Episode 150. We're growing. We're changing. Evolving, even.
We're digivolving.
Digivolving.
Yeah.
The pod.
My name's Lou. I'm from Lou Talks Anime. And I'm also excited to talk about Breaker. I really, really like Breaker.
Yeah.
Me too.
We did it. Good job, everybody.
Good job, guys. End of MangaPod. We didn't even have to get the spoiler section. It's fine.
We really like it. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye. If you guys have never joined us for a MangaPod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka a summary. I will be reading that since we don't have a guest this week, so it'll be me and all of my perfect pronunciation. It's going to be real good. Then we'll give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not, or manhwa. That way, if it sounds like something you're interested in, you don't want to be spoiled, you can take your leave before we get to spoiler section, go and read it, and then come back and watch the VOD of this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/happilyerin. So I'm going...
Is that where all of the manga pods are stored?
Except for one Crunk Pod, which is on Lou's channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, you guys ready for the synopsis?
Yes.
All right.
Do it.
After his master, Gunmun Ryong, destroys his key center, I should have given a spoiler for...
If you haven't read
the Breaker,
manga,
you should leave. Until close your ears for 2 seconds. All the spoiler figure.
Spoiler figure.
Not that
got the spoiler figure up if you haven't read the original Breaker manga.
So just take your headphones off for just a few seconds. All right. After his master, Gunmun Ryong, destroys his key center, Shiyun decides to leave the world of medium for a normal life. But as the person who holds the Phoenix Medallion of the Sun Wu clan, is the only disciple of the infamous Gunmun Ryong, the medium world will not let Shiyun leave so easily. ... Done. Good job.
To be fair, I didn't think of that either. This synopsis might spoil everything that happened in the original.
Yep.
I was rotten bacon butt for that. I'm sorry. Accidental rotten bacon butt.
I blame Mal.
Yeah, male. Your fault. Spoiler for recommendations. Would anybody like to? First.
It's hard because I 100% absolutely recommend the original Breaker manga that we read. This one, what we've read so far, feels much slow. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this without spoiling anything. It feels much slower because of what happened at the end of the last Breaker. So, what we read so far has felt like it's still going to be the same, great, awesome Breaker time. It's just that we haven't hit a good, stride yet. So if you really loved the original Breaker, I'm sure that this one is gonna go ham and get really awesome. But what we read so far, for me at least, was a little bit slow. Yeah. So I don't know whether or not I would recommend it yet, I guess. I enjoyed what I read. It was just much slower than I was hoping it would be.
I agree with you, and I would recommend it if you have just finished The Breaker. I highly recommend you go and read The Breaker. Breaker is freaking amazing, one of the best action things I have seen in a very long time. So you should definitely read The Breaker and then immediately jump to New Waves. I think because we took, I think, a year and a half. I think it was a year ago that our last Breaker one was. And I was a little lost with some stuff. I was like, oh no, where am I with this? And so I do agree that it is a lot slower. And there's some stuff that felt a little bit more conventionally shonen-y than I wanted to see out of it that wasn't really in The Breaker, the first series. And so it's hard for me to recommend it to you, but I did have a lot of fun while I was reading it, and it is interesting to see the world that is building up. So,
I guess I'm gonna repeat what both of you have said. The original Breaker is great. New Waves is currently in a process of rebuilding everything up because of spoilers of the ending of original Breaker. I enjoy New Waves, but I don't think that it's something that you can necessarily jump into. It does kind of give you the framework for what happened, but you definitely need to read the original series first.
yeah.
And honestly, with everything that I've heard in terms of like, you know, every time we were planning on reading Breaker, everybody's like, "Are you doing New Waves? Are you gonna do New Waves?" Like,
yeah.
So I'm just waiting to understand why they've been saying that, because so far in terms of what I've read from New Waves, I don't quite get it.
Yo,
Like
Breaker,
original Breaker, we went straight into it and it was hype.
and it was so hype. Yeah.
So hype.
But we're not there yet with New Waves, but we can definitely get there. There's definitely a lot of interesting elements introduced. So I enjoy it and I recommend reading it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But original Breaker first, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. Don't skip it. Please don't skip original Breaker. It's so good and you need it in order to hop into New Waves.
Yeah. I remember when we first read The Breaker, I accidentally started reading Breaker New Waves, and I was like,
Oh,
what
that's
the
right,
fuck
I
is going on? I was just sitting there like,
I forgot about that.
am I supposed to
It's
know?
fun having that context now. And
Yeah.
having you be like, who the what?
So, I remember I had a distinct thought of, am I supposed to know these people? Like that, and
Yeah.
then that made me go, okay, maybe I'm reading the wrong thing.
Something's wrong.
But now that I've read the original, I totally know. So I will have the same experience if you guys do not heed our advice. You will have the same experience I had, and it's not fun. I mean, it's funny memory, but it's not fun when you're there. It's not fun. All right. We are
Cool.
going to jump into spoilers section. This means if you do not want to be spoiled, it is your time to take your leave. Like I said, you can go and read and then come back and watch this if it sounds like something you're interested in. If you don't care about spoilers, feel free to hang out. We do ask that you do not post any sort of spoiler past what we read, which is chapter 29 or the end of volume 4. You will be warned, timeout, banned, all of that not so fun stuff. We're harsh on spoilers, so please don't do it. Don't even post something that's like a joke spoiler or could be a spoiler because we don't know and we just, boom. So just don't do it.
Squish you.
Squish you. All right, jump
Cool.
into spoiler section.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Goomy God.
Good
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, literally.
Basically, the
They
manga told
literally
us several times.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it wasn't hard to come up with that for this one.
It was graffitied. So
It was.
It's real.
It was also chanted.
It.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There were 10,000 fists in the air.
Oh my God, guys, it's so going from Breaker, where he's just like this powerhouse of ki energy, to watching him like struggle to throw a punch is so frustrating.
Oh my God. The whole time I was like, you were so strong. And like, yeah, I was just thinking like, oh, poor baby, I still love you, but oh my God, all your work, all your hard work was built up, and then now it's
Yeah. And we don't even have like a bunch of badass characters that we knew.
yes,
Like any of the other characters that we fell in love with, like hanging out, being awesome to make up for it and be like in the middle of awesome key battles, right? We've had some cool fights happen, but I'm still just like, man,
Yeah.
I have people that I'm missing. I miss him when he was a badass. And I like that we've had, you know, those moments where he like has his fighting spirit, even though the key isn't there and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah. And it makes it like frustrating that we got so much validation. We had so much reward in the first series about how hard he's worked and how far he's come, that it feels kind of cheapened that he's all the way back at the start with this one. At least for me, I was like, man, it's not fair.
I like that he's still continuing to work out and still like get his training in, even though he couldn't possibly learn to or hope to master martial arts at this point because of the destruction of his key center. I think that really endeared me to his character even more, because while he is a weaker shell of himself, he does have like that same drive and personality that made him a likable character in the original series.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing it because he made a promise to do it to his teacher, I was like, oh, you're so precious.
You're such a sweet baby.
They would like drop in like connections to the previous series where like the video he got from his teacher, like they would bring that up at just the time where I was really missing the original Breaker, and then they would bring that up like, okay, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It took me, I think the thing that it took me the longest to remember was I was like, how did he get that Sunwoo clan amulet? I do not remember that. And then once they started mentioning the girl, it all flooded back to me. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. There was the girl who was like super weak and she had the thing and she gave it to, oh fuck, I remember it all now.
Yeah.
So
that
took me a while.
That's why I was saying, like, I feel like if I had read this series immediately after reading the first series, which I easily could have done because it's so easily digestible. You can just take it in really quick and just blaze through it. I would have remembered and like the important parts where they were like, you have the medallion and you're a head leader. Like if I had just read it all straight through, I'd be like, oh, whoa. But with this, I was like, I don't remember what that means. I don't remember the big deal about the Sunwoo clan or anything, but as it slowly came back to me as I was reading it, and I also went on like the Wikipedia and like refreshed myself on some stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about what's her name, Jinhee?
Jinlei. Yeah, I'm not sure. I wish I had more familiarity with Korean names so that I could properly pronounce these. So if anyone has in chat has like tips on how to pronounce some of these names, feel free. But yeah, I just called her Jinhee.
Yeah, I thought that maybe because when she went into school, she called herself Jinhee, right?
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, your name's Jinhee," and she's like, "No, it's Jinhee." And I was like, "Oh, maybe she was given that name from her like Western dad."
Yeah.
But she's like turned it into a Korean name while she's in a Korean school. I wasn't quite sure what we were supposed to go for, but yeah, in my mind I just called her Jinhee.
Yeah. Yeah, what were you guys' thoughts on?
I have kind of like really a mixed opinion on her because you know, on the one side, you know, she's kind of a badass, and I like that. I like strong female characters that you know have a personality, and she definitely has a personality. But then there's two other sides to her that I don't like. Side number one is the super tsundere. I can't.
Surprise.
I'm not a fan of tsunderes at all. I hate them so very much. But you know, it's just like she's already like kind of like the Soon side is definitely falling to the wayside in a way of like the more dere, and I'm okay with that. You know, it's just like, all right, maybe she just has a naturally abrasive personality at first, and then as she gets to know people, then she starts to soften up. Fine. You know, she's going through that tsundere evolution quickly, and I'm okay with that. Like that fixes her personality or my perception of her. The other side is a super creepy side where main character is like unconscious and she wants to violate him.
Dude,
yeah.
That like I get that that's supposed to be like, all right, you know, it's some weird fantasy of like main character self-insert. Yeah, a hot girl wants to do things to you while you're asleep. That's still really creepy.
Yeah.
It feels, for me, like her character so much outside of when she's having the romantic feelings for him, because it feels so forced, and that's kind of like, I don't know, for me it just feels really like I've seen this so many times before that it just feels very round, like by the book. And so that made me not enjoy their interactions at times so much, because I was like, okay.
I don't know. Like, I do agree that it comes off creepy because, and I get why she's written the way that she is, because it's like, oh, well, she can't show him her soft side when he's awake. So when he's asleep is when she feels like she can be vulnerable around him. And I'm like, it's still weird. It's still weird that like she treats him like an asshole all the time. And then when he's passed out, she's like, oh, baby.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're just so sweet to me. And then it also ties into this strange aspect of like the only close relationship with a dude she has in her life is her grandfather, who's constantly telling her that he's disappointed in her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I feel like none of your relationships in your life are healthy at all, and you don't know how to have like a potentially healthy relationship with our main character. And it's just, I like her a lot for the most part. But yeah, I think that she's kind of a hard character to follow sometimes.
I think that, like, in terms of who she is as a character, I think it kind of makes sense given the circumstances by which she found her way to her grandfather with, her parents. Like, they haven't gone into a lot of detail in regards to what happened to her parents, but the fact that they're no longer in the picture,
well,
I imagine they're.
Her mom died in the fire, right?
But what about the dad?
But
That's
her dad, we don't know
the
anything
dad,
about her dad.
So my concern is like, all right, like she was essentially an orphan. She went through that whole ordeal, and then she had to acclimate or adjust or integrate into this new Mudim. It's Mudim, right? Their whole society, and she just seems to be struggling with that, and that seems to be what's causing her to just have trouble in regards to like how to deal with people on a more personal level. So I think maybe that's the rationalization that we're supposed to be having for who she is. And but yeah, it's still creepy. So
yeah, I think it is interesting that she is an outsider like Shun was, and that she came in and then got trained by a family. And so I think that side is interesting. So I think, there's just a lot to her that makes her like a mixed bag of things. So we don't really know how to follow her character development, because we're like, where did you start? Where are you now? Like, what is this coming from?
I agree with Lou, though. I do think that it's her personality is not, kind of changing in the grand scheme of things, but like she's turning into the like really strong, I got your back lady character pretty quickly, and I'm cool with that. Like, if that's where she settles and sits for the rest of the series, I'll be like, dope.
Yeah, as long as she doesn't turn into like the damsel in distress. That's the only thing I don't want her to be.
I know. I'm like, so far she hasn't been. Like, she's been pretty, like, she lets him.
So far it's still Seihi.
Yeah.
Poor sweet Seihi.
Poor sweet.
Just like
all the time.
Gets in the middle of shit all the
like,
time.
Hi guys, how's it going? Okay, I'll come back.
No weird stuff happening over here. There's no magic or key battles. Nope. Absolutely not. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's just like Seihi.
It's like Seihi, why?
Poor sweet Seihi.
I'm trying to think. I do like Jine's character design. I just love, that's something that I love about Breaker, and I have since the first series, is I love everybody's clothes so much. The title, like the opening pages for each chapter are they look like they came out of a fashion magazine, and I love that. Like, Clamp does that a lot, and that's something I've always loved about Clamp's manga, because it just makes, I don't know, it makes you just feel so involved in it.
Yeah. Although one of them really tripped me up, because one of them looked like it was Gumun Ryung, like
Yes.
standing on a street, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's back already!" And he was not. He never showed up while we were
Dude,
reading.
I thought he was gonna be revealed to be the homeless doctor. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
For a
Sure.
split second, I thought about that too.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh no, it didn't happen. I was very much hoping. Dude, he's got to come back though. He's got to come back at
Of
some
course he
point.
is.
Oh
Watch,
man.
it's gonna be like the last panel in the last chapter.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, I'm here.
So
Me and
upset.
Sui, we're just hanging out.
No, cause what's up with the whole suck group, right? Like, what's up
They
with
suck.
them?
The
They
They
suck.
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 The suck. Yeah, dude, that is getting intense. I am excited to see how that plot point grows.
Yeah.
It's
How do
because
they
all
know
of the
Young's abilities and stuff.
yeah, like why are they trained and what's going to happen with how they're tearing down the wall between the real world and Mutum? Like what's repercussions or is that going to have?
I feel like and this is pure speculation. I feel like that's like a superficial motive that they have. And I feel like there
Yeah.
has to be another reason for why they're doing it.
Mm.
Like maybe their objective isn't to really do that, but maybe it's to put themselves in a position of power over the Mudim. But again,
No.
I have no real evidence for that. It just feels like the whole, all right, let's just break down this wall between the secret society and regular society. I feel like that isn't enough for the motivations for the primary antagonist.
Well, that's what Gumuring's original goal was. Like that's what
I was
he
just gonna
wanted.
say that's like a continuation of the whole concept of the way that this whole society is formatted is wrong and it makes no sense. Like, yeah, that was Gumunryong's whole
whole thing.
thing.
Whole shtick.
But
Mhm.
I mean, even if that's the case, we still have to account for the fact that they may be taking that idea on just a surface level, and there may be other motivations behind it. So I feel like that can't be the
Definitely.
root cause for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely. There has to be somebody behind them. I think everyone we're seeing is just the like lackeys, like the fakers that are out there, and there's definitely somebody behind pulling all the puppet strings. And I'm interested to see who that ends up being, because I feel like the way for me it would be really interesting is if it's somebody we've already seen. If it's somebody
Yeah.
that was in the breaker, that would make it really good for me, like a really good reveal. And so I'm interested to see and hoping somebody is gonna go like that, because I don't like it. I'm not a fan usually of when manhwa or manga are like, here's this baddie and then this baddie and this baddie you've never seen before, and there's just more and more baddies. I enjoy it when stuff gets tied back to things that have been shown in the previous
Yeah.
so
I did feel a little bit like, Aaron, how you and I have complained before about anime and manga where the main character gets applauded a lot for like not really doing anything. I had definitely a couple of moments during this where I could tell that things were happening because the main character can't die, right? So like there were
he
a
literally
couple of-
regenerates.
yeah,
Yeah.
there were like a couple of weird Deus Ex Machina moments while I was reading this, like with Swordfinger dude. He was just like, I know when to accept defeat. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're fine. He's all fucked up. If you just like hit him a few times in a row, he'd die. Like, are you
Yeah.
like it was obviously a contrived situation for them to be like shook, like, oh my God, he just keeps standing up. And I'm like, oh man, it's making me sad that because of the way Breaker is right now and his key center's broken, like that's what we have to applaud with our main characters. Like, he just keeps standing up, man.
Yes.
Good job, buddy.
It's like if that had happened, which I'm sure it did, when that happens in the original Breaker early on, you're like, yes, precious baby, you keep standing up. I love you.
Yeah.
When it's
show
here,
them how
it's like,
powerful you are.
it's here, you're just going, okay, well, your plot armor is way too heavy. So no matter what. So when he went into that fight, I was not at all thinking, oh, he's going to die. Like, there was no thought of me.
Yeah,
That fight was not tense at all. Like, there was no sense of danger to it because he was like, that's what I was meaning when like I was saying it's a little bit more generic shonen than the original Breaker was. And that he is that character that's just like, oh, he keeps standing up. I'm moved. I can't fight him now. I'm like,
yeah, I'm overwhelmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but he's just, all this stuff is happening around him and he is just the one that's walking along as everything is happening. So that really bugged me.
But eventually though, like we're seeing glimpses of him starting to get in a position where he can defend himself. Yeah, he can regenerate, and that does take some of the attention away from the fights. But we're also seeing him get to the point where it's not just, oh, look at me standing up. Like, look at the fight that he had with the fat guy at the end, where he made the best of his situation and was able to overcome it.
Yeah.
You know, so
definitely.
I think there is room for growth, and I think they will find a way to take that plot armor away from him. Like one of the things that they mentioned while he was going off to fight was, oh, his regeneration is only going to work while he's alive. So if they kill him, then, you know, obviously that plot armor is gone. So I think that like throwaway line of dialogue was supposed to add the tension for everything that followed. And I don't think they put enough of an emphasis on it. So I think that was a shortcoming in terms of like writing.
The other one that felt kind of throwaway, but I, fortunately remembered it, was when they specified that like his regenerative properties were actually creating a situation where he was getting stronger, even if only a little bit each time. So I was like, okay, that's probably supposed to lay some like small mental groundwork for how he's going to advance in the future. Because I still don't know whether or not we're going to hit a point in New Waves where he's going to miraculously get his ki back, or if they're going to just have him like slowly get stronger and be like an actual middleman between Murimin and like the real world, like the normal world, right? And have him be like a really obvious image for that, intersection, I guess.
I just had kind of a realization when you like pointed that out. MC Kun is basically a Saiyan. That's what he is.
Oh, he is.
Got it.
Like, he gets wounded in battle to the point where he's about to die. And then he recovers and he becomes much stronger. So
right.
So he's Goku.
He
Goku.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only with like
is Goku.
dying way less.
And he's way leaner too.
Yeah. He's not as muscly, but that's okay.
I was gonna ask what Dodger was saying. What is your guys' feelings, or right now before it's happened? What do you think you'll feel if he miraculously gets his key center back? Like, do you think it's gonna happen? And if it does, do you guys think that'll be a good movement for the plot, or do you think it's gonna feel cheap?
I guess it depends on how fast it happens, right? Because if it was going to happen, I would have expected it to happen early. And with the way that it's progressing now, I'm kind of like, well, maybe it won't happen, or if it does happen, it'll happen way later after he's done a bunch of growth on his own, It would be hard for it to not feel kind of cheap, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. Like, it would feel totally like plot convenience. Oh, look, he found a way to recover from this injury that was supposedly something that all medical science irreversible completely. Like, he is incapable of being a martial arts master. Now, granted, he found a way to enhance his physical strength, and just based on his recovery ability and the residual effect of that recovery ability. So maybe him recovering his key center isn't exactly necessary. If it does come into play, it's gonna feel cheap. But I think that with the right antagonist, it feeling cheap won't really matter. And it's all about how they build up the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So, for example, if his teacher comes back and happens to be the primary antagonist, and he was actually behind this, then him acquiring his ki center would make sense because it would have to compensate for the huge deficit in strength.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What do you guys think about? I mean, there's not a lot, but about the grandpa who was like, "Gina, kill him, kill him."
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
One, he's a dick.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Two, like not only is she like, or not only is he like telling her to kill the guy that obviously she has feelings for, but the entire time that he's doing it, he's saying, "You're such a disappointment. Your mom was a failure. Oh yeah, and kill that guy that you like." So, I don't know. I wish, or I wish we had more of an insight into the politics of that clan, because I feel like that's what is supposed to be interesting about his character, is that he's doing all this as a political maneuver to gain power in the clan, or maybe he's trying to sabotage the clan to find a position of power in another group. And like, I feel like we haven't been given enough of that information to really understand why he's such a dick. Apart from the fact that he just doesn't want MC Kun in that seat of head of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we at this point, it's still not clear why him showing up and being like, "Oh my god, I don't want this. Like, I shouldn't be involved in this world at all. I don't want to be the head of your clan. Like, take this back." Why they weren't like, "Awesome.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll take it back," right? When obviously the grandpa doesn't want him to exist, like wants him dead. I'm like, couldn't you have just like, we have no way of understanding why that wasn't an acceptable solution to just have him be like, "I don't want this."
I wonder if that's something that could have been a little lost in translation, in that maybe it's like they're very proper about rules and tradition, and they can't possibly,
since the last head gave it to him.
Yeah, they can't possibly go against that because something might happen with that. I don't know.
But
Right.
I mean, isn't it essentially like, all right, the whole idea was the symbol that this medallion that he was handed was supposed to be like, all right, here you go, and now he has this position of power. Couldn't it just be like, wouldn't it be just as easily transferable?
Yeah, couldn't he just pass it off?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it would make total sense, since they just kind of gave him this thing, and he's like, "Oh, this is nice," without really realizing what it was or what the implications of receiving this gift was. And on the other hand, like, he has the option to just hand it off, and they don't accept it. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, it felt like another. Oh, we need this to happen so that the plot can get to this point, that we can hit this point on the timeline, instead of like figuring out a different way for that happening. Yeah, it was very weird. It felt very weird. And I don't know if it was supposed to be reinforced that it was it was like a duty of the people to follow the clan's traditions, in that his teacher, the bearded guy, I can't remember what his name was.
Like, I don't know who he is, but he feels like just typical anime dad.
Yeah, anime dadu. He, like, because he is all about being this part where he realizes that he was doing wrong by Shiwun, and like begged him for his forgiveness and was like, "You are the master," and something like that. So I don't know if that was supposed to be something where he has a sense of duty and that he follows the traditions of the clan. And so that's reinforcing that the grandpa is trying to go against that and trying to do like a power grab and take over. I don't know. It was very, very hard to follow. It was not made clear at all, like you guys were saying.
I agree.
It's all good. We're still just talking about grandpa and why we don't understand why some of them were doing what they did.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Sword Boy?
Like, Finger Boy?
Sword, yeah,
Finger
finger Sword Boy.
Are we? No. I was gonna say, are we supposed to assume that he's like one of the people who was lured in by this suck idea of like
he's against
not.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'm remembering that now.
he's on the team that's looking to oppose them and is gathering people to oppose them. And so I think that might be something where because he thought Shiwon was involved with Suck because they're all Gumurung's disciples, supposedly.
Right.
And Shiwon is like the disciple, the legit one. That's why he wanted to take Shiwon on. He also felt very shonen generic to me. I liked him a lot. I tend to really like that character type, but there wasn't anything that felt different about him. He was kind of Izaya-y. Maybe that's why I liked him. He was pretty Izaya-y. But there wasn't really anything that stood out as unique about him, really.
Right.
Except maybe his curly hair.
I liked the moment in that fight when his abilities were sort of picked apart. I found that interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, as a character, like it was just overall in what we've gotten out of the story so far, I found it a little bit confusing to follow. Like there's the suckers, right?
Oh, that's a good name.
Thank you. And then through that, they've sort of introduced this idea of, there are people from different, like kids, like specifically the younger generation from different clans that are starting to maybe like question the way that things are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I got confused. Like, okay, so is this kid, because he was in the lineup of like all of these pictures, right? Of like kids from clans that had disappeared and gone to do something else. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wait, okay, so are they like, obviously if he's against the suckers, then he's not inspired by them. He wasn't inspired by them to leave and like try something new, right? So I feel like we're missing a puzzle piece.
Yeah, that was confusing for me as well. Or I was like, I also at a point I was like, oh, he's part of them because he's in the pictures, and then I was like, are these people that Suck have killed or done stuff with, and so they thought he was dead, but he actually got taken in by somebody else and is doing their bidding. But he doesn't seem like somebody who would be manipulated into doing something he didn't necessarily want to do. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. He seems like he's gonna come back and be Shiwon's best friend later.
He's gonna be
like,
an ally.
Right. Yeah, you know, he's gonna show up like once MC Kun goes to fight the suckers. You know, he's gonna show up and be that one, you know, that one soldier that completely changes the tide of battle, and it's gonna be great because he's just gonna finger everyone to death.
Best way to go.
The blonde kid in Mob Psycho 100, who's just like a super elitist asshole and comes back and is like a sweetie pie. You're like, what happened to you?
And then rich emo prodigy guy from first season is gonna come, and then him and blondie dude and Shiwon are just gonna have a threesome and be in love. That's my idea.
I love Breaker.
Me too. Best manhwa ever.
What did you guys think of the girl who was trying to like exact revenge but didn't actually like want revenge? She just wanted to be the head of her clan. Like, I thought that was also sort of weird.
So weird. Another character type that I've seen hundreds of times, and I was like wait,
old analytical lady.
Yeah, with long black hair. Yeah.
I mean, I like that style of character because she's a very deadpan character, especially in that last little bit where we saw her, where she's like, oh, I was promised my position and I have to do whatever your clan says, even walk around in just an apron. And she says it with such like a serious and stern expression that I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off.
She's pretty.
She had a couple of funny panels.
Yeah, she's pretty sarcastic, which I like. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, like in terms of like her design and who she is as a character, I just like, I really like that stoic, strong female character, as I mentioned earlier, which there are different ways to represent strength in female characters. Like you can have Ginny, which is with her bombastic personality, and you have other girl with just the poise that she carries herself with, and the fact that she is in that position of power in her sword school or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly that she's a good foil to Ginny, and I hope that they're in more scenes together, because they're so opposite, right? Like Ginny's a run and gun sort of character, and what is this other girl's name? I can't remember.
Here, I have all of their names pulled up.
Uh,
Sarah Kong. Yeah, Sarah Kong.
Okay. I like that she's like so analytical and pragmatic and like understands the stakes at all times, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like they could work really well together if they're given the opportunity in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely gonna be more prominent too. Oh, before we get to art, what did you guys think about the side story that we got?
I thought it was really funny.
Laughed my ass off so much.
So funny.
Like all right.
Oh my god.
So context for anyone who did the reading but skipped the side story. Shame on you.
Shame on you. It was so funny.
It was basically like a police sting, right? So we have this busty like new detective, which her goal is to save money from this job so she can get a breast reduction. Like that is her objective. Okay, so she goes and she finds this Muram user who's apparently just like absorbing life from women, whatever. So
Called the Playboy.
exactly, like he's this Playboy style character, and he's trying to seduce her, and this entire time, like she's like acting like she's going along with it, but she's freaking out on the inside. And honestly, my favorite panel in all of the chapters that we read was that instance where like he's removing his towel and his massive
just to like
massive
hold my dong.
It's just the fact that it was so huge that it obstructed his vision and she didn't the kick that was coming for his groin. It was great. This is how you make manhwa. This is
my god.
That's
It was great.
Like-
It was a story of a girl that her superiors didn't take her seriously, and she managed to take down the Playboy, a Muram user that they just could not seem to catch.
I
It's just great.
love the fact that she just straight up kicked him. Was like, "How dare you show this to me?" And
It's
love
the one move she knew. It's the one
one
move
thing.
that she learned.
just how like seductive and sultry she is, and how verging on like porn actress she was, and we got the little bubbles inside her head like, oh god, I'm gonna die, what is happening?
How will I ever look my future husband in the eye?
I'm not even married yet. Oh my gosh, it was
good.
so good. Yeah, when it first started, because it came in at very bizarre times. Like, those side stories, like, popped up in very weird chapter points. I was like, wait, what's happening? And so, the first time that the side story happened, I thought it was going to be one of those things where we're getting introduced to a new character, and then it's going to lead in, we're going to see MC Kun doing whatever he's doing. But then it ended up just being a completely different side story. But it was great. It was really funny.
Yeah, I was actually worried after the first part, because it was in 2 parts. So after the first part was over and we went back to the normal story, I was like, well, I hope I didn't miss that, like where that ended, or I hope that it eventually ends, especially like within our reading.
Yeah.
So I was glad that it got wrapped up in just like 2 parts.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Let's talk about art. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Okay. This might sound weird, but when I first started reading New Waves, I was filled with this feeling of like, this isn't what Breaker looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so bizarre. It was such a strange feeling. And I don't know why. Like the whole first chapter while I was reading it, I was like, this is not what this manhwa looked like before. This looks totally different. And then as I kept reading, I was like, no, this is right. No, I'm wrong. I'm being weird. But I wanted to go back to original Breaker and compare and like figure out why I felt that way. Like the MC looked weird to me for the whole first chapter.
You know, I actually experienced the same thing,
I was
and
the
I
same
didn't go
way.
back. I didn't go back and look, but I think if I had to place a bet, I would say more likely than not, it's that the art style in original Breaker evolved. And
Mhm.
what I identify as the art style or character designs for Breaker are the ones in the earlier chapters, as opposed to how it ended. So
Right.
maybe that's where the difference is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from. Where it took me a second to recognize this as Breaker, and like once I was like 4 or 5 chapters in, everything started rolling a little bit more smoothly. Like once we started getting more action sequence, I was like, yeah, it's totally Breaker.
Yeah,
But up until I hit that point,
I
not so
had
much.
the same thing where it felt a little bit more amateurish to me. It
Mhm.
almost felt like I was reading the first part of a story where the art is like okay and then suddenly it gets better. There were
It was like a
definitely
brand
moments.
new story.
Yeah, there were
Yeah.
moments where it felt like that in terms of the art. But dude, the fight scenes, every time the fight scenes are so on point. It's almost like an animation studio that they're like, all right, we only have so much budget, so we're going to contribute 85% to the action scenes and the rest to like slice of life, everyday talking. All the still frames look literally janky. And so it was like that kind of thing where the action fights, every single time there was one, looked so stellar, so amazing. And the perspectives that were used, the angles, the shading, the harsh lines, it just fits a
Yeah.
martial arts manga or manhwa so well. It was so
Yeah. It just like it expresses movement and power really, really well. And I think that is a benefit of having done the Breaker before and
yeah.
like having so much practice at it, you know?
Mhm.
We hopped into this one and it was like, it's a little shake. Oh no, never mind. It's good. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
She's kicking people. We're good.
yeah, definitely the manhwaga definitely showed that that same skill that was brought to original Breaker didn't go away,
Yeah.
and they showcased that skill to a lesser extent because we still haven't they can't blow their load right away. They have to start scale the fights appropriately and then eventually lead to something more complex and intricate and over the top. But definitely from what we've seen, there's that same original level of talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they take or where they go in terms of fight scenes later on in this manhwa.
Yeah, the fight scene with Finger Bang Boy and MC Kun was really cool. Just the way that
Yeah.
he was drawn using his hand and like his movements were so slithery and sly. Uh
Yeah.
it makes the manhwa, right?
Mm.
Is very good at making sure that each martial artist's style is distinct to them through the art when
Yes.
they're fighting. And I think when you have a story that's so focused on people having all sorts of different styles of fighting, that's very important, and they're able to display that and show that through the art.
Yeah, I was gonna say the we didn't get to see him very much, but the dude who showed up at the end with like the face tattoo and the piercings and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, what like we barely got to see him fight, and I was like, yo, like it was really
Yeah.
cool just seeing how like different and powerful his fighting style was. Even though we only saw it for like a split second, it made me be like, oh dang, I want to see you fight more people. Like when he was threatening killing everybody in that room, I was like, I don't want you to from a story perspective, but I want you to from I want to see you fight some more perspective.
Yes,
So
definitely.
he has too cool of a design for him to not come back, so I'm not worried.
Oh, 100%.
But
Do you guys have anything else you would like to add, or shall we wrap up and give our final thoughts and ratings?
No, I think I'm good.
yeah, I think I'm good.
Sweet. I'm trying to figure out rating, like number.
I have a number.
Go
So
for it.
Do it.
all right. So This is gonna sound like a massive drop off from the original Breaker, but I'm gonna give it a 7. I think if I'm not mistaken, I ended up giving Breaker a 9 at the end because I absolutely loved it in terms of the world it had built, the characters, all the cool fight scenes, just and the way it ended. It felt like they could have just ended the story there without New Waves existing, and I would have been perfectly content with it. And
Yeah.
then we have all of that just destroyed, and we're at the beginning again, where they're building up from the rubble of the story of Breaker, and we're seeing this main character going through a similar character arc, not quite the same, where like he's already matured in terms of like his personality. Now it's just more along the lines of like, I guess, being more independent, because we definitely saw glimpses of that in terms of like, he acknowledged that he used to rely on his master, and now he's starting to rely on Ginny to really stand in for him. Like we saw that in I think like the last like 5 or so chapters where he started mentioning that. So, there's the potential for it to grow, and I'm expecting for my score to go back up. But this section of reading, while I really did enjoy it, I don't feel it was Breaker good. So, yeah, I think 7 is a good starting point for it right now. And then we'll see where it evolves from here.
Yeah, actually, don't feel bad and this might be like a symptom of heartbreak, but I was thinking about giving it a 6.5.
Yeah.
Because it did, like, going from such a great ending to Breaker that gave us, that also gave us like a nugget of, but it's going to continue, being like, what we read, and anybody who loves New Waves, like, don't get offended. This, like, our scores almost always go up, but it employed so many things that I find frustrating in other manga and manhwa, and it's really hard to not have, like I said, it's really hard to not have any characters that we grew to love in the last one, and to have the MC back at square one. It wound up being a frustrating read, even though you can tell that it's laying the groundwork for something that can potentially be just as good as the Breaker was. I was frustrated by the plot armor, and I was frustrated by feeling like we were just back where we started. So, yeah, I'll give it a 6.5, and I'm excited for it to, be wonderful in the future.
I'm gonna also give it a 6.5. And I almost don't want to say more than that, just because I agree exactly with what you guys said, and I would just be parroting you. I was kind of disappointed just because of how much I love the Breaker and like how high up we were with that. So to come back down was really rough, and like you said, very frustrating. So I am definitely anticipating that score going up, and that this is all just laying down the groundwork, and we're just getting through the mud so we can get to the field of gloriness. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this section a 6.5, but I'm very, very certain that the next section that we read, or through like the end of Breaker, is gonna be like a way higher score. So yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said in your scoring things. So that wraps up our discussion for the Breaker. I'm going to read the summary for the manga that we're reading next week, and y'all in chat get to guess it. All right. I should have looked at this before I started, but it's fine. One day, ordinary high school student Kogami Ki finds himself caught up in a strange kind of blank apocalypse involving blank blanks. While idly looking out of the school window, Ki sees what looks like a little girl hitting a teacher, causing his head to explode violently. Convinced he's dreaming, he goes to the restroom to get his act together. Unfortunately, it's not a dream, and he arrives to find the creepy little girl repeatedly saying, "Blank," as she slaughters his friends and classmates. Soon, Ki and his childhood friend, a quiet, often bullied girl named Sukune, are witness to the resurrection of their friends' corpses into a zombie-like murderous mob crying the single word, blank. Now Ki and Sukune must try to endure with the other survivors and try to find out what has happened to their world. Blank.
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 Yep, it's Naruto. You got it.
Yeah, it is Battle Angel Magical Girl Edition. Let's see if anyone on YouTube is getting it. Yay!
Wait, hold on. Foolish Neko got it here.
Oh, okay.
Zombie Magical Girls. Yeah.
Foolish
basically.
Neko, and then on YouTube, Claus Over got it. We are reading Maha Soldier of the End. That is what we're reading. Or Magical Girl Apocalypse. So, blank, blank, blank. We are reading chapters 1 through 16, volumes 1 through 4. So we will be discussing that next week. And in case you guys are wondering, I totally forgot to say this at the start of the podcast. This week was supposed to be Claymore, but we have moved Claymore back until
February 21st.
February 21st. Yeah, so we will be moving it back to then. So we are still going to be reading it. Don't you fret. We just needed to switch up the schedule a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and shout out our stuff super duper fast. I'm Erin of Happily Erin. You, MangaPod's hosted my channel, a YouTube channel, Weep Trash. If you want to find me on any other social media site, I'm Happily Erin all across the everything. I trash post a lot on Twitter, so you should definitely come and follow me, because you know you wanna. Blank.
Blank. Hi guys, I'm Dodger. You might be watching this on my Twitch channel, which is now twitch.tv/dexbonus. So excited. You can also find me on YouTube, youtube.com/pressheart2continue, where I do anime and gaming stuff. And on all the social medias, I'm at dexbonus, DEXBONUS. So thanks for watching.
Hi guys, I'm Lou. I'm from Lou Talks Anime. You can find me at youtube.com/Lou Talks Anime now, where I occasionally post anime-related content. I need to start making anime-related content because I really don't want to review Super Lovers.
Yeah, same. Same.
I kind of have to get on that, so I have things in the works. So hopefully the month of February will be a very productive month for me. In addition to other stuff that I'm not affiliated with, but I want to shout it out just because I've been like kind of binging it lately. Friend of the show, Bill, aka Pepperdam.
Yeah.
He has a gaming podcast called Permadeath Podcast, and they've been releasing episodes lately. And I legitimately enjoy watching those episodes. So go check out his channel. I like it. Permadeath Podcast. Shout out to Bill. Bill's great.
I love Bill. Bill's awesome. I agree.
Yeah.
But thank you guys all so much for watching MangaPod. We really appreciate it, whether you're watching it on Twitch or YouTube or the VOD on YouTube. We just love y'all. You're the bestest of the best, and we appreciate you supporting and checking us out. If you'd like more MangaPod, you can check out our subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. The schedule for all of the upcoming weeks through the end of June is currently posted there, and there's also a recommendation thread, so you can post certain manga you would like us to check out if you have any. So go ahead and do that there. Once again, next week we are reading Magical Girl Apocalypse, volumes 1 through 4, chapters 1 through 16, and we will see you same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/dexbonus. Bye!
Yay!
Bye!
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 Bye!